I've got a chuck that I made. Show that first, that other chuck. Go to that other chuck. All right, this is a chuck that I made out of a piece of 4-inch PVC connector and a piece of, I guess it's cherry or maple. And what I did was I turned it and turned this around, the disc round, and then recessed it, then threaded it. And then I turned a recess in it and slid the connector onto it. That's one way you could do it. But since then, I found something I like a little better, that I just put this on my regular chuck. This is a, what's the name on that? It's a PVC connector. And I sent a text to Dane, if he'll put in the chat, that he put a, where I got it at Lowe's, called a DWV connector. Goes from 4 inches to 3 inches. And then I put a piece of 3-inch pipe on the inside and glued it in with CA, just so that I can either use this on a Talon chuck, or I can use it on the Stronghold chuck. Or if you have the Nova chucks, you could use it on any chuck, but I did that so I could use it on a smaller chuck or a larger chuck. And with this, I do some workshops on these, and we were having a problem before we did a workshop, and we used the one where we tapped it. Well, I told them they could take it home with them. It was theirs to keep if they wanted to. And I had complaints that, well, they said, well, they didn't have a 1 1/4 inch thread on their lathe, so they couldn't use it. So this you could use, this one you could use with any chuck. Okay, so we're gonna call that done. Now, if I wanted to texture this, I could. No, I'm not going. For the sake of time, I'm not going to. All right, so we're gonna take this out of our chuck now. This is the fun part. Remembering which way to turn the key. Okay, so now we're going to use our Lowe's plumbing department chuck. And with this, one of the things I like about this, now I went to one of the dollar stores. They just got some of that sticky foam, foam stuff. They just sprayed a little adhesive on it, and it's already got some adhesive on it. Just stuck it on there. I might have got it at a big box store, but I just stuck it on there for padding. If you don't want to do that, you could get a piece of neoprene foam. Something like this. Vacuum chuck. If you have a vacuum chuck, you can use that vacuum chuck instead of using this, and just not hook up the vacuum to it. Because basically you've got a round chuck with your vacuum chuck. Okay, we need a live center again. Clean that out. And what we're going to do, if we were cutting flat, we would be on this center point. We ain't cutting flat. We're going to go to one of these marks. I just divided that into thirds is what I did. And I've done it with two off center on 2 places, and off center on 1 place, or off center on 4 places. It's just, you do whatever your imagination lets you do. I was doing this demo one time in Greenville, North Carolina. And I put it in like this. And I started turning, see it turned very straight. So it was like everybody was sitting out front, and this thing started going pretty good, and it was wobbling back and forth like this, and the Red Sea right in the middle of the room. It was hilarious. Now I'm putting it in there pretty tight. All right, so we're gonna make a cut. We'll start right here. And that's cut's going to end up something like that. Does that show up on screen? Can y'all see that? Well, you can't answer me, so I don't know if you can or not.
Yeah, we can see it.
You can? All right. Now we'll switch to a 1/2-inch gouge. Just so I got a little more room to get in there. And I guess that's the disadvantage of doing it with the tailstock, is that you can't get in as well, but you get in good enough. And we're going about 700 RPMs. You know, mark somewhere in there. And see, now I'm not cutting. I'm cutting air and I'm cutting wood.
But yes, that piece of PVC with the piece of stick-on foam that you got at the dollar store creates a friction chuck. And you have to really understand how your tools cut when you use a friction cut. Because if you're not slicing, you're not going anywhere. You're going to do a catch and out it goes. So that's a look at Bob's friction chuck right there.
Yeah.
That is the PVC. He's got insert in it so he can go inside or outside the hole.
Now, put the foam on it, it wouldn't mark the wood.
Bob, you're holding that that friction chuck in the expansion mode from the inside, correct?
Yes.
Bob's got to have his.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
But the way he built it with a pipe on the inside, a piece of pipe on the inside, because it's not a vacuum system, he can squeeze it on the outside or the inside, depending on which chuck he decides to put it on. And that shows you that this is a very versatile system, because you can adapt it at your hardware store. I think even at the Lowe's, you can adapt it to match your system, your grade.